This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Krystal from Three-Sided Cube. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, guys, Krystal is a bundle of joy. We've already had such great conversations in the last week that we've known each other. Definitely the biggest character I've seen through email. I've never been able to tell someone's personality through email, but you have been such a joy just immediately upon the first response. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be a great conversation to have.
Honor, because when I were writing like a little bit unhinged, but then I'm like, word ones. I really want to put some vibes out there into the world.
Yeah, exactly. No, if people are having bad reactions to your emails, then they're a buzzkill. You're a joy.
Yeah, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Exactly. I don't want them on the podcast if they're going to be grumpy. Well, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about your work at Three-Sided Cube and kind of what led you to this point in your life.
For sure. So I'm Krystal Ellison. I'm the marketing manager at Three-Sided Cube, and we are a software agency that builds custom software solutions over in the UK. And our whole mission and ethos and motto is all the stuff that we're building is for good. So we are an agency, and all the clients that we partner with, like the American Red Cross, Lush, the UN, are all for digital solutions to fix some of like the world's biggest problems. And we get to be the ones to build those solutions, which is super freaking cool. And also, like, I work on the marketing team, so I just get to shout about and yell about really, really cool things that my team is doing. So I'm not selling like cigarettes to babies or anything. And that's like, that's really, really good. And I would definitely say my journey is not linear by any means. In the early knots, I don't want to date myself, but in the early 2000s, I went to fashion school because I loved fashion and my Gapio pants and all my tacky trends. Like, I was cutting edge. So I went to fashion school and I wanted to be a buyer. And that was my career for 7 or 8 years. And it was not creative and it was not fun. And it was there's a lot of spreadsheets, and the industry is not like, it's not that cool. And the people there's cool people, but yeah, it just was not a place to be. And I ended up moving over to the UK and having my daughter. So I had a 4-year break from working and the career force and working my ass off as a mom. She called me mom. It kills me. She's like, you can have some culture. I'm like, I'll give you whatever your daughter. But I had my daughter and was home with her for 4 years, and it hit a point where she was starting school, and I had that like horrible, dreaded gap in my resume. And I was starting to think about like what to do and go back to the workforce. And I didn't want to hit fashion again, but I do love writing and I love that marketing angle and that selling and like being agile and nimble. And like, if it's something that I really love, like it's so easy to put my full ass into it. And like kind of a kismet situation. One of my best friends, who's the COO at Three-Sided Cube, just messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, like our office manager is going out of town for 2 weeks. Do you want to just come in, order lunches, like to check out the office, answer phones and stuff, and just earn some extra money? And I was like, sure, for sure. And I think the night before, in the morning of, like, I was thinking of every excuse in the world to not go because it was so far out of my comfort zone. Like tech, I can barely operate my iPhone. I was like, what is happening? What can I bring to this workforce? And I haven't contributed in years. Like, I was definitely like pretty freaking scared. And I walked through the doors of this agency, and like, it's like any tech startup that you can imagine. Like, we had the food bottle and the pool and the beer cooler in the corner. Like, and it's bright. And like all the people, I mean, everyone here is a Venus. So like everyone's like all really happy. And like, and the second I walked in, I kind of made a vow to myself, and I was like, they're never freaking getting rid of me. Like, this is awesome. Like, it just is, the culture was just like, as soon as you just felt it when you came in. So I did my 2 weeks and I stuck by my vow. So I just kind of made myself as indispensable as possible. I did whatever I could. And I got a contract on the operations team. So I got to, I mean, which is like the culture arm of it. So like I was like the party at Cube and I got to order the fun luncheons and plan the fun parties, the weird quirky things did to bond with each other. And like that was very well suited for me. But then COVID hit. So it's like, oh, dude, like, I
It's the
saw
parties.
that party, everyone. COVID hit, party's dead. There is no office to speak of because we're all on lockdown. And I just assumed that I'm done. So like, here I go again. Like, what's going to happen? I mean, also the world was like freaking on fire.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was like, everything was
On
scary.
fire.
Yes. Yeah. So I just kind of, I like reignited that vow and I was like, they're not freaking getting rid of me. So I had like, I become friendly with the old head of marketing and just made myself like invaluable to her. Like, what do you need? I can help with case studies. Like, I can do blogs. Like, what have you got here? And I just kind of like a little like worm or like a gnat. Just kept offering and joined the marketing team as an assistant. And then eventually, like, she was such a good manager where she scared the crap out of me and like pushed me out of my comfort zone continually. But more and more, I took on running our webinars and running all of our activities and all of our content and our in real life events. And each step was really, really scary for this like little old mom back in the workforce. But each one was like, it was just really exciting and great. And then eventually I became the marketing manager and I still get to do all that fun stuff. I'm like a little bit less scared of all that stuff because like, I'm not going to do a good job unless you have a little bit of fear.
Yeah. No,
But
that's part of it.
And that's here I am now.
That sounds like such a beautiful journey. I love the journeys. It's not a journey if it's linear, you know. I don't. I
Yeah.
think that I really like hearing people's story about how they got into marketing because I feel like 9 out of 10 times it's never linear. It's always something that people happen into almost, and it just works for them. And it's really nice to see someone with your personality in this position too, because it's maybe an not to call out anyone else that's maybe not as perky. But I think it's a really great person to see in a marketing position because I think that this kind of gusto is the best person for marketing because they're excited about different things and like learning more. And the fact that you were able to kind of climb your way here and it wasn't even what you intended to do from the start is kind of incredible to me.
Totally. Yeah. It's really cool just how it's happened in the most unexpected way. And I think just it doesn't, and this is so cheesy and this is like, it doesn't feel like work, but obviously there's those days where I'm like pissed off at my boss, or I'm serious, or these meetings suck or whatever. Like there are hard days, genuinely doesn't feel like work when I'm like, when you're in the zone and you really do believe it. And like the mission is like when I'm working for purpose led and stuff, like it doesn't feel like that hard, big of a stretch to just passionately push what we're doing because it's freaking cool.
Yeah, that's something that's really amazing. I also really getting involved in looking into your agency. It's kind of amazing the work that you do. I haven't seen many agencies with this kind of niche of doing good. I think that because a lot of agencies are created to make money and money first, I think that it's really nice to see this kind of change of pace. Um it's not something that you see often, and it's really great because that's something that we really value at Penji too. We have a Penji for Good program that we kind of founded ourselves on, which is providing your services for $1 a month for nonprofits because we want to be able to.
Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like it's something that made me feel really good about going into the corporate world, like with this job specifically, because I was like, I'm not someone that ever saw myself in the corporate world. Like I've always worked with nonprofits and like I went to school for politics and I never wanted to get involved in politics. It was literally just to learn about the ins and outs of that kind of stuff. But it felt good going into this knowing that they care about and value this kind of thing because I didn't think that there wasn't a space in the corporate world for doing good, if that
Totally.
makes sense. I was very pessimistic about it.
For sure.
So it's really good to see that you guys do that as well because and that it's your focus because I never see that.
Totally. And like, and that also the evolution of Cube too is that we're about to turn 16, little sweet 16. Good for a tech startup, but also like it was not tech for good in the early days. And for the first probably like 6 years, it was kind of like tech for money. Like we need to keep this agency open. And, like,
It makes sense.
and we had this young force and like apps were all really new and it was really exciting. And then it slowly kind of like rose to the top where like we got a app to build for visually impaired people and to assist them and then the team was really excited and it was just, even though it's stressful and all the things about shipping tech products are really freaking gnarly. It became the common thing that we then got another for good project and then it became the point where we were, I think it was before the Red Cross or maybe when we got the Red Cross, the emergency app to alert people when to save their lives that then like C-suite and directors talked to the team and kind of were able to see that the team really came together and were really passionate and like those really hard days were trying to hit a deadline and not doing it or piss off client were a lot better when they were really believing what they were building. So like that was a shift and like I don't know, it's just like it's really cool for our organization to be able to like not just like see the bottom line or whatever, like focus on that and to be able to pivot based on like what the people inside helping them make money are doing and that it's going to bring everyone together and make them enjoy the process of working more like yeah, it seems like they're just like kind of like throwing out the rule book of how businesses are run.
No, it's really nice to like what you do, not only the job that you have, but what you're doing it for. Because, you could make it an incredible, like you'd have an incredible campaign for a company that is kicking dogs. Like it's
Yeah.
you could like you can make
Set up the worst.
I'm like, and they give you millions of dollars.
So
But
far,
that
idiots and dogs being fixed. So,
yeah, but are you gonna be able to sleep at night?
right.
You know, you could be really proud of your work. You could be like, "Oh my god, I made this amazing campaign for kicking dogs." But you're not gonna tell people that at parties because
Yeah.
they're gonna hate you.
Yeah.
And you should hate yourself maybe a little bit. I know money is money, but
I
maybe
know
you should lead a
it's
campaign.
hard to at different points down and sell out a little bit and
Yeah, like
talk out.
maybe, you just got out of college. Maybe you need to do a campaign or two about kicking dogs, but
I don't know.
But yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to support, like, to enjoy what you do, but then also support what you're doing it for. And I think that
Yeah.
that's very difficult to do in the corporate world. And it's really nice to see that it almost feels like you guys are pioneering this kind of space. Cause I haven't seen it. I don't know if you're probably not the first of your kind. I don't know, but it's really great to see that because that means that there might be more.
It feels like it's becoming, I mean, I've been at Cube for 5 years now, so it does feel like the momentum, and it's not Reset Cube, there are other online organizations out there, but like the tides are turning and businesses are seeing that they can operate in a way that like aren't pieces of shit. So like, and you have happy employees that are loyal and your turnover's less and you're spending less. And like, it is so mutually beneficial to just like be good.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also I understand the whole, coming up of, you have a startup agency, you have to make money where you can. And that's like it makes perfect sense. But when you're at a point where you're making enough money, why not do some good? Like even if that's not your main focus, it just adds up to me. It just it not only looks good and people don't think you're, just the average old agency, which like, I'm sure so many agencies care about their image. That's literally the point. But and also they should do it because it's just good. But that's not always the incentive for some people. And I get that. I try to take myself out of my empathy brain and put myself in my corporate brain. Um, but it is something that I feel that a lot of agencies have the ability to do in their cycle, and they just don't because they make less money by doing that. They see that they do it, like they make less money or whatever. But I think that there's a lot of ways that it can actually make you more money, and I think that people don't see that. And there's a lot of different there's fundraisers, there's different people that there's grants, there's different people that donate to these causes because they care about them. People see that you do this kind of stuff and they want to get involved with you because they're like, oh, these people are good people that care and they're not just looking out to make a buck or whatever. And I think that I hope that that changes more in the agency world.
And then it's a knock on effect too, because like then when we're trying to get new clients in, because like we have to keep the doors open and the lights on. So like we need to have our leads coming in and we need our brand awareness out there. But like it is such a knock on effect to be like, look at this. It's like the proof is in the pudding, and like we're not building these horrible apps, aforementioned terrible world, but like all this great stuff. And like you can add to that, and we the proof is in the pudding that we've done it. So like some kind of board, just like fork and train.
So How do you okay, so when you're creating these campaigns and you are showcasing your work, how do you make sure that they're on trend? Like what is the kind of process that you go through to make sure that these are well received?
I mean, it's really, I feel like I do have the luxury in this role because like it's like so multifaceted where I'm sitting at three-sided cube. So like if I want to be on trend and Apple has just released their new iPhone and their new OS update, like we have some of our really awesome, engaging, awesome QB men that are building the apps that know all the tech nerdy crap that I can drag onto our podcast to talk about. And it's so hot right now. It's like all the keywords and all the it's right there to talk about, like right at my fingertips. And then also the for good stuff. So the work our clients are doing. So I think that we don't like big media trend, we don't really like climb aboard, but I think like for like fresh or things happening, things in the tech world in the space, and then in like for like we'll get for good news. And I'm trying to think of an example of when we would do that or like awareness stage or thing like that. And be like, oh, this blood donation or this hurricane just happened and we can show like look at these people and these lives saved and changed and affected by this. Is yeah, we have our finger on the pulse of what we're up to talk about the outer world a lot more.
That's really great. Yeah, it's especially because you're doing all this work, you have those connections to be
Yeah.
able to that's really lovely. So, speaking of the podcast, I never get to talk about podcasts on the podcast because most
Yeah.
people just are coming on and don't have their own. But um, so could you tell me a little more about the Igniting Change podcast series? Like when did it start? And can you tell me I know we discussed this a little bit earlier. I was gonna ask what your most difficult, what the most difficult part of that is, and maybe the tech side of things. I feel that very much so. But then, and then your favorite part as well.
Okay, so yeah, like Notting Change podcast. I know it's a podcast within a podcast. It's like some inception.
It's very meta.
We have just launched season 5, and yes, or no, season 6. And yesterday I found out we won an award for season 5. So
Oh, congratulations.
it's definitely thank you. And I mean, from like putting it together from start to finish, freaking massive labor of love. And there are so many elements that go into like every little bit and bop of it. But I'm trying to think when we started. I think it was 2021. Off the back of COVID, we started doing our webinars just as a way to reach out to people, had a monthly series where our CEO stood up and we had like topical tech trends or humanitarian sector things or environmental and invited a panel onto our webinar of experts to have conversations about it. And we just kind of in marketing meetings, we're trying to figure out how to grow this like wonderful marketing circular economy. So we have this webinar, we have downloadable dated content like we have the stuff we're talking about. And it just the idea of podcast kept coming up. And it kind of because it feels like there is like it's like, oh, everybody and their mama has a podcast, like okay, okay. But like the more that we really talked about it, looked at it, like business is so valuable for a business to have. And like I said, that like circular economy for marketing is that we then brought the arm of the Igniting Page podcast in. And it was similar to the webinar. Like it was a reason to kind of get in front of the people that we are so inspired by the Greenpeaces, like the Amnesty Internationals that like would we be just freaking psyched on life if they reached out to us to build a technical solution, but also so that we could learn from like we're bringing these incredible people on that like, well, we build the tech for good. They're using it in like real use case, life scenarios, humanitarian crises. Like it's like really, really inspiring to hear every single one. And with that, we're able to have guests on panel on the webinar and then have them join the podcast. And it just became this like really great way to have like our ecosystem grow and have these conversations and be collaborative and also transparent. Like it felt like a really nice way to kind of like pull back the curtain and see the Wizard of Oz. And we're learning from these organizations that have been doing what they've been doing for years and years, and they're learning from us. And yeah, so that it has been. I feel like really cheesy talking about it, but it's really really cool. Like it is a lot of tech stuff. So there are times when I sound the recording, and I'm like, that's like it's that. But yeah, so it's been going on 6 seasons now. It just keeps getting better and better, and every single episode and the whole theme around it is just our guests and the organizations they're using technology to drive incredible social change. So it's like a pretty straightforward format. We have the same 3 questions we ask, like as you know, like then so many other conversations will disseminate from that. And yeah, I think it has like just kind of proven like it comes leaps and bounds season and season, and we've had a few rebrands of it and has been really, really awesome, like from a marketing person, just to have another excuse to talk. Like it's that brand awareness, it's that solidifying that like we know our shit, like we're passionate, we care. Like when we have guests on from organizations or charities or NGOs or whatever, we'll donate to their cause. So like just as a thank you because they've given up their precious time to lend it like to our podcast. And yeah, but I mean, like we were talking about earlier, I think I've been running it for almost 3 years now. And the scary part is the tech angle of it is terrifying. Just the systems now and the platforms that record podcasts are so intuitive. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast for your business, do it. Because there are some, we just moved over to a really great one. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop, but yeah. So
Yeah, of course.
Riverside SM is like bomb.com. So yeah, it does not all of it for you, but it does all the good stuff for you. And yeah, I totally lost my train of
No, you're fine. Your least favorite and favorite part. You just said your least.
Yeah. So least favorite. And the reason we moved platforms is because the most stressful part is the tech issues. It is you never know what you're going to get faced with. People are joining with all sorts of different software or hardware and with different degrees of technology comfort. So like, and they don't know how to get their headphones set up. I didn't know how earlier so before, but and yeah, and when you're in there after all the briefing calls and their precious time is ticking and you're just staring at each other or they can't log on or there's these different things like, and they expect you to troubleshoot them through that. And I'm like, sir, I don't know. Which always works out in the end, or if a file gets encrypted and stuff, like there are bits and pieces that happen, but I think like it's really, really helpful for me to have like friendly, open communication with the guests from the get-go. So when they do go tipped up, I'm able to just own it and be like, this sucks. I'm so sorry. This did us dirty. Or we'll troubleshoot and I'll figure this out for next time and we'll get you back on. So there are times where it just is a wash or we can manage a way around it and it does work. And then I think the best part is probably the evolution of it is when you first are reaching out to people to get onto the podcast to make up a whole season, like, and they start to respond to you and then you're kind of warming up the comms and they're a little bit nervous and you're getting them all scheduled in and you're briefing them and trying to get to know each other and just get this synergy like pretty quick too. Like you can't really get to know each other that quickly. And then it gets recorded and then and they're not as nervous when they record it. And then you just get to sit there like this little creeper. Like I love recording. I don't do the hosting like you do because I'm too shy, obviously. But yeah, and yeah, so I get to be a fly on the wall and then we get it and we get to dissect it and edit it and then put it out in the world. And like that evolution, it feels like it just birthed a little podcast baby.
No, it's so nice. I completely understand. It's also like it's really nice to know. We have a nonprofit podcast called Unified Purpose, which is not don't worry, you're absolutely lovely, but is my favorite podcast to do. It's really nice to talk to people that are doing good about doing good, and it's like
Yeah.
it's so heartwarming. I've cried on one before, like really bad cried, like ugly cried. I remember messaging my boss afterwards and being like, I cried on one of the podcasts. He's like, good content. I know. It's like, I wasn't like this was not purposeful. Like I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
But no, but it's really lovely and it's nice that you get to see the evolution of start to finish. I completely resonate with that idea. It's like all of it is me. So it's insane. I don't do editing. That's the one thing I don't do. I send it to our editing team. They're so unbelievably awesome. They make me look
freaking I was like, this is top drawer.
I love them. I love them so much. They're so helpful. And sometimes I give them such little information to go off of and they just run with it. And they're absolutely so incredible, especially the earlier ones when I had no idea what I was doing. And they were just so helpful. But it's really nice to have a really good team to be able to work with, to work through everything. And from start to finish, it's such a beautiful metamorphosis. It's so nice. And
there's a bond there. Like there are people like the ecosystem and like what the process is done. Like then they're part of Cube and they're part like I can reach out or we'll do other things and check in. I'm going to see Wicked in London in a couple of days with one of the guests we had on a few seasons ago and just start talking and like they're just humans and yeah, it's really cool connecting.
That's so sweet. I love Wicked. I saw it a while ago. Like when I was a Girl Scout, I think, which was long ago.
I've never met her in real life, so it's like a little catfish because I know her, but I go. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet though. I really like that. And I wish we did more maybe I'll talk to my bosses about that, but I wish we did like more like in-person things since we went fully remote. We haven't been doing as many of those. I do really like to get on the phone with people though. It's nice that we're doing that. And we are incorporating that more in our day to day. And the podcast, obviously that, but it's nice to be able to go around and meet
I say
people.
well. Like I think it just is people in a room are way more engaging to watch when they're just like vibing off each other. But
Yeah,
we
I
do it
like
on too. So I'm not like we've done you in real life ones, but they do a lot better. They're
I completely agree. Yeah, we had we used to do them in our office for we have another podcast called Billy Made. We have 3 podcasts.
fire, man.
4 podcasts actually. I misspoke.
Do you do
It's
all of
I only do 3. I but that's
fun?
but we have another one specifically based out of Philadelphia for like Philadelphia businesses and agencies, and that one's been fun. But we did that in person originally and it was a lot, but the production we're not there yet with the tech side of things, so it is very helpful to be able to do it through this. It's a lot more editing and a lot more attention to detail when we're doing things in person. So it's a lot more work, but it also is a lot nicer to be able to like see someone and shake their hand and just and chat with them in person. It is really, really nice. But I do have to wear pants for those. So what
A little rough.
so that's the unfortunate part.
And I feel like there is a lot of like, and people on the team or whatever will like slap me like the dagger the CEO, like we need to do like this episode. And like it's so easy to doubt yourself to look at production value of these like freaking massive podcasts and feel like we're doing it wrong or what do we do? But like that, like I have to remind myself like that is a whole ass team, like dedicated, sitting there pushing a button under the table to get the snippets in real life. Like
Yeah.
so yeah, like just give yourself space and grace. It's such a learning curve, like since I started to where we are now. Like, and I'm sure you can attest to that too. Like you learn on the go. Trial by fire is like the best way. You'll just iterate and make it kick ass and take names.
100%. I write my reels down as I'm going during the podcast. I have a piece of paper in front of me.
Platforms that like in Riverside and then you can push the button and it grabs it for you. It's nice. She's I'll give you I'll give you a toy over back end.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's really helpful actually. Maybe I'll push I did definitely get a recommendation of that from an editor, but I think it was like not I think this one I don't know why we ended up with this one.
What
There was some
there's so many great ones. Like I just think that, and they're gonna offer different things and the bells and whistles. And as AI is happening, like there's gonna be so many more components available to capture your stuff a lot easier.
Speaking of AI, wow, you just perfectly segued into my next question. Thank you. um, how do you think AI? Okay, I am very wary of error. I was for a really long time. I didn't even use ChatGPT until like the other week. I'm very freaked out about technology like taking over. I don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist on any. Like, I don't think that they're gonna take our I don't know our livelihoods away. I think I'm more worried about something thinking for me because I'm afraid that my brain will not work as well in the future if I'm not constantly thinking out solutions for things by myself. But how do you think that AI is the most helpful with your job? The reason I started using it was because I realized that I should, because it is helpful with things that are tedious and I shouldn't have to do myself. But I'm curious about how you think it's been helpful to you.
And there is that piece that like we had talked about in the brief, it's like the idiocracy thing, where it does feel like here you go, human, like it's an like or heart or care into. It's like I think that is like totally valid because there are that concern, there's ethical concerns, like AI is like deeply flawed. But I also think it is like very people are like, they're overselling it. Like what it can actually do is not it's like a little assistant in my pocket, I would say. It's not I mean, maybe it's gonna take my job and I'm being cocky in like a year I'll be like, huh. It's not my job. But I have an assistant that's giving me like another presence on the marketing force to validate what I'm writing. Like we know that it spits out like cheerleader jargon and like garbage, but like AI can only do what it knows, and like human brains can go way beyond that. So like I was listening to a podcast by William who has a podcast that he does with AI co-host. And it's super cool. And like someone like the co-host and him were talking and he was talking about it and he was like, human, like don't be freaked out, embrace it. Like it kind of feels to me like a little bit of a technical like pioneering revolution of like refusing to use email when that was launched. I mean, I'm not dating myself that much. I remember when I was around after email, but like I had a lot of boomers like, I'm not going to use this. Like office memos, like that's ridiculous. Like I think if you refuse to use it, you're crippling yourself a bit just to help you and to give you capacity. Like I really use it. I'm on a 4-day work contract now, and my workload hasn't shifted. So I get 3-day weekends every week, be with my daughter and like chillax and come back refreshed and rested and feeling creative. And yeah, it has just given me space to I have a blog or we have a report that we're going to launch or a podcast recorded. I need a summary. And it assists me to like validate what I've already done and like take the workload off a little bit, or I've done this and I think, how do I elevate it? And like I might, and you know how brain bleed is. Like once you've been in something in a campaign and you're just like, I am gonna vomit if I think about this anymore. So I can plug some of it in and be like, what are 10 ways that I can elevate this? And it'll give me like 10 options to spit it out. And with my human brain, like I'll never take exactly what AI spit out at me. Like I call it like I Frankenstein and like I freaking AI and like I just take like bits and components and then be like, oh wait, but then if I did that, and it just really, I feel like it's like really elevated, like what I'm able to do, and make me not be as like doing the doing like from like so granular little things to the bigger thing that you're just like losing that passion a bit. You're feeling stressed out, and you're like, oh, this sucks. You know, it's given me some breathing space. I do feel like I'm not being paid by AI or OpenAI, and I do like for what it is. Like I think I'm able to use it in marketing across all my activities. Or like I went on a road trip to Scotland. This is like not business related or marketing, but I went from Scotland last month, and my 9-year-old was like flipping out in the car. We're driving through the Highlands. I'm blasting my bagpipe music, and I'm like, "Shut up, man! I want to get new vibes. Like, just chill." And she's getting so upset, and I was like, We just saw the Loch Ness. Like, let's have ChatGPT like write a story." So like me and her are just sitting there playing prompts about like Layla's at the Loch Ness and she's going back in time and it's reading this like fantastic tale, and she's sitting there reading and she's so engaged, and she's like,
Oh,
I think when you just like you give yourself space to play because everyone's nervous, they're not an expert. I barely know what the hell I'm doing, I promise you. But it just there's some time to play with it and incorporate it into like, oh, I have these 5 ingredients in my fridge. How can I make for dinner? Like play with it in your life, and like when you have time to even think about it at work, don't see it as a project or this list on your this bullet point on your list, like to check off, like learn AI, like just as and when do it, and it's really helpful. Or like holler at your girl. I love talking about AI.
no, I really do think it's incredibly helpful, especially for like grunt work. I know that for work specifically, it is the recipe thing got me. When I was like, oh, you can just put in whatever ingredients in your house. 'Cause I'm constantly trying to be creative with minimal ingredients because I don't like to waste. So if I have like a couple things left or something in my fridge, like I'm always trying to
Totally.
make the best out of it. I'm like, "Oh my god," and I remember seeing that and being like, "Okay, maybe I should try
So
this."
nice. And my daughter has like sensory stuff. So I've done that to be like, my daughter is 9 and she has sensory issues. Like, well, this is what we have. What will address this? And it gives you the I ask for links to just because you have to validate. Like AI hallucinations are like 100% like it's fallible for sure.
That's awesome. I had so many sensory issues as a kid. I can't even with food specifically, that's so nice. I wish my parents were able to use something like that.
I mean, it is lazier because I guess it's the idiocracy thing.
No, it's awesome. No, it's awesome because my parents were they grew up creative ways anyway. If it was easy, then maybe they would have. It's just sitting me on the table saying, "Eat your broccoli."
Yeah, you're not, or that old like 90s, or not 90s because you're a baby. Like I'm sure early 2000s, like that. Like you're not getting out of the table until you eat. Like,
Oh yeah, that was me.
and I
Yeah, so that's really incredible.
do you think you're gonna like adopt it more or incorporate it more in your day to day? Like, do you see how you can do it?
I actually do incorporate it into my day to day normally, not for lifestyle reasons, I suppose. I think I'm not there yet. I am scared. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's scared, more like
very.
wary. Yeah, exactly. But it's really helpful with the podcast because for show notes, I create like 3 main points or whatever, and I was typing those out. I was going through every video and typing them out myself, and I was like, oh my
Watching it,
god.
fighting. It's hours and hours. Yeah,
It takes so long, especially with like a backlog of how many podcasts we have right now, which is insane. I my boss is like, use ChatGPT. I don't know what you're like, because he uses it for everything. And I guess I thought you had to pay for it, which I guess to a certain extent you might have to if you're getting like a plan or something. But I didn't know that. And yeah, and there's no limit. I use it all day. Sometimes for a second, I was using it for over 20 in one day, and there was no limit to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I would read through them, and they were usually completely grammatically correct, maybe like a problem here and there. But other than that, it's such an incredible it's such an incredibly helpful tool, and I'm actually a little mad at myself for being so hesitant for a second, because it's not hard to use either. I think I was also worried about that because, as we've already talked about, tech savvy, not me, not me at all. I barely know how to use my phone. I built my desktop, and it could take like 2 days. Like, I've looked this up. Like, it could take 2 days for someone to build a desktop. It took me 6 months.
Okay. All wrong and on
And
fire.
oh, yeah, and someone will try to talk to me about it, like the parts and stuff, and I'm like, "Don't remember. You can look at my Amazon wish list." Like, I have no idea what I bought. I can't. They're all letters and numbers, and I didn't conceptualize them, like, only for the moment, and they've all left my brain since then.
Totally. But you did it, so you can brag about it forever. That is really cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and I do.
Cool. You can be proud of like that. Because it's easier, I think, to be a Luddite or be a hater, like AI or I'm freaked out or this it's done. But like I think it's like it's better, not better, but you should be proud of like just doing it in a way that works for you because you want to think and you want to use your brain and you like are wary of it, and that is the best thing to have around. I think like not trust it. Like there's been points in my journey with it where like there's a podcast episode that I sat in and I record it so I know the conversation and I'll be like, right, ChatGPT. And I was trying to have it do it with a couple different episodes to amalgamate into like a remix episode. And it just was completely making up quotes and making up themes. And I was like, you did me dirty. Like there's only so much it can do. So like appreciate that for what it does. And yeah, like it needs a human touch.
I think that was a really lovely note to end on, as we are out of time. Everyone, it was very wholesome. And yeah, guys, try using AI, maybe just have realistic expectations for it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think thank you so much for coming on. This was absolutely lovely. I don't think a conversation has flowed more authentically than this ever. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
But it was serious. It didn't even feel like I was like recording.
Yeah, it was 36 minutes. I thought it was like 10.
Awesome. Wait to see the final result.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And everyone at home, please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more amazing stories like this one. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you.
Adios.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.